Hello, everyone. Welcome to folks who are here with us in store. And hello to you lovely people joining us online and maybe to those who are watching in the future. Welcome to our workshop today. Come on in. This is our mini workshop, Pleasure Reimagined, Exploring Intentional Practices. And as a token of gratitude for joining us today, you will get 10% off to shop in store or online through Sunday at midnight. So stay tuned for that code. So I am Jennifer. I also go by Jen. My pronouns are she and ella in Spanish. I call myself a pleasure and sex ed enthusiast, as I believe that pleasure is a birthright. I'm simply here to facilitate this conversation and share some learnings. The lenses through which I see the world and through which I'm entering this conversation are as a light-skinned, cisgender woman, first and only daughter to immigrants from the island of Haiti, the Taino name for the part that is currently the Dominican Republic. And I grew up humbly in Queens/Brooklyn. I am 34 years old and currently exploring the fluidity of my sexuality. So I share all this to say that living with undesired, because sometimes pain can be pleasurable, undesired pain for the past 5 years, and my background in early childhood education has kind of catapulted me into this field of talking more about pleasure and how necessary it is to talk about pleasure at all ages. So back in September, I also hosted another mini workshop, but that one was focused on more exploring pleasure with pelvic pain. So if anybody's interested in watching that, you can find it on our Instagram page, or if you want to DM us, we'll send you the link directly. Yeah, so I share all my lenses to say that I don't know what it's like to be in your body. I only know what it's like to be in my body. And ultimately, you are the expert in your experience. So we may talk about some things today that may not work for you. We may talk about some things that you may be curious about. So as always, I invite you to trust your body and your intuition as we go forward in this conversation. And also, there are folks here with an array of experiences, and we would love to bring that into this space as well, whether you're joining online or whether you're here in person with us. So I asked some of the folks who are here in the store already, what are some of the first words that come to mind when you think about the word pleasure? The first word that comes to mind, the first or two words. So thanks for the love the decor is the shout out that we're getting online. Thank you. What are one or two words that come to mind when you think about the word pleasure? So folks online, you can feel free to comment. Does anybody here want to speak what they wrote into the space or share their Post-it note with me? If you don't want to, that's okay.
Happy smiles.
We got happy smiles. Okay.
Elusive and sacred.
Elusive and sacred. Okay.
The first two that came from me were time and attention.
Time and attention. Ooh, and I'm seeing online we got relaxation. Would you like to share? It's okay, no pressure. Warmth. I'm loving all these words. And folks who are online, if you want to chime in one or two words that you think about when you think about pleasure, please feel free to do so. So I start with this question of what do you think about when you think about pleasure? Because oftentimes the words sex and pleasure are used interchangeably, and they're kind of used as the same thing. I think the word pleasure has really become a euphemism for the word sex, or when folks don't want to say the word sex, they use the word pleasure. But pleasure at its core is a feeling of satisfaction and enjoyment. And all the words that you all shared and brought into this space today are experiences, feelings, sensations that can come up during sex and also in other ordinary moments. So the truth is sex can be pleasurable, and there may be sex that is not necessarily pleasurable. And whether or not you are interested in sex, whether that's solo or partnered, you still deserve pleasure, and you also deserve sex that is pleasurable if that is important to you. So to be completely honest with y'all, at the start of the week, I had doubts about leading a workshop focused on pleasure when there seems to be so much happening in the world. And there was a part of me that really thought, this is so frivolous. Like, why? I shouldn't even talk about this. Like, I don't even want to talk about this. This is not important. And then I had to ground myself. And I had to check myself and really be like, no, Jen, stop. You got to tap in. We got to refuel. And that's how we'll have the energy to take care of each other and take care of our communities. And I was also grounded in some words from Adrienne Marie Brown's Pleasure Activism, Politics of Feeling Good. Pleasure activism is the work we do to reclaim our whole, happy, and satisfiable selves from the impacts, delusions, and limitations of oppression and/or supremacy. Pleasure activism asserts that we all need and deserve pleasure, and that our social structures must reflect this. In this moment, we must prioritize the pleasure of those most impacted by oppression. Pleasure activists seek to understand and learn from the politics and power dynamics inside of everything that makes us feel good. Pleasure activists believe that by tapping into the potential goodness in each of us, we can generate justice and liberation, growing a healing abundance. So I just want to take a moment, and if you would like to join me to just place a hand on your chest and just take a deep breath. You can close your eyes. Just take a deep breath into your belly and let an exhale through your mouth. Yeah, those words really landed on me, and that was the grounding force and the motivation to be like, no, we must talk about pleasure. And the phone is ringing. So I want to take a moment now to do an activity that is going to tap into our sensory awareness. So if you feel comfortable, folks who are here, all I'm going to ask you to do is to close your eyes or lower your gaze if you feel safe and comfortable to do so. Folks who are joining in online, if you are in a space where you can do that, the replay will also be available to you afterwards. So if you feel comfortable doing so, I ask that you close your eyes or lower your gaze. And if your hearing is available to you, what is the furthest sound that you can hear? And for folks who are joining online, that's for you to take in. You don't have to type anything in the chat. This is your experience. What is the furthest sound you can hear? Now, what is the closest sound that you can hear? Now I want you to focus attention onto your skin, and it can be any part of your skin. What's one thing you can feel? Is it the compression from your clothing? A lot of us have a lot of layers right now. Is it the chill in the air? What is one thing you can feel on your skin? Now we're going to move on to smell. What is one thing you can smell? Right now in this space, we have a lot of candles and incense. So I'm picking up on the candles, the incense, the pheromone perfumes. So I'm picking up on a lot of fragrances at once. What's one thing you can smell? Now let's bring attention to your mouth, your tongue. What is the last flavor or the lingering flavor that is on your tongue? It could be the taste of your own saliva. It could be maybe you just had a tea or a coffee, or maybe you just had something to eat. And if you can't detect the taste, how does your mouth feel right now? Is it dry? Is it calling for water, something to drink, something to eat, something sweet, savory? And when you're ready, I'm going to ask you to slowly open your eyes and notice what is the smallest thing you can see. The smallest thing you can see in this space. And when you found that, I'm going to ask that you can put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and take a deep breath into your belly as if you're filling it up like a balloon. And just hold it there for a moment. And start the exhale, releasing the air from your belly. And then from your chest. How did that feel? I see some head nods. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but thank you for nodding your heads. Yeah. So I bring that to your awareness to say that this is just one way that we can start noticing our pleasures. And now, how can we take this awareness to start thinking about what are my non-sexual pleasures? What delights my senses? What sights do I enjoy? I love having flowers in my apartment, right? What smells do I enjoy? I enjoy the smell of burning wood because it reminds me of the Dominican Republic. What taste do you enjoy? I love chocolate. Just thinking about all these things, like how can I now take this awareness and think about what are the pleasures that I can experience in everyday moments? And also, what are my sexual pleasures if sex is something that is appealing to you and you want to engage in, whether that is solo or partnered. And it's important to think about like pleasure in everyday moments, because you can turn a mundane moment into a completely different experience. Again, whether that's sexy moments or non-sexy moments by yourself or with others. And sometimes when we engage in repetitive actions, it can feel safe and predictable, and sometimes that's what you need, right? We have certain routines that we do in the same way most of the time because they may feel grounding or they may feel good to us. And at the same time, sometimes doing the same thing in the same way every day, sometimes you lose your sense of pleasure in it, right? And the same can go for sex as well. If you're thinking about pleasurable experiences in sex, sometimes routine and doing things in similar ways, in ways that feel safe to you, that feel familiar and predictable, that's just what you need. And sometimes doing the same things in those same ways, that you may lose the pleasure in that as well. So I invite you to think about, in your mind, you can just think about it. What is something that I do every single day that perhaps I can consider inviting more pleasure into? And if anybody would like to share either online or here, happy to hear your thoughts if you would like to share, but no pressure.
I was just thinking of just like my bedtime routine. Like sometimes you just like go until you just like have to hit the bed. But I know that I sleep better when I slow down to like do things that are soothing to me, and I could be more intentional about adding some things that are relaxing and pleasurable.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So we have someone in store sharing about their bedtime routine and how sometimes they're just go, but that they know that they sleep better when they integrate activities that are pleasurable to them, or they can experience relaxation before they go to sleep. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, bedtime is something I'm working on too. Yeah, I want to share an example that I had recently of like even the shower, right? Well, first of all, I think that the fact that you get to take a shower is a pleasure in and of itself. And one way that I've reframed the things that I feel like I have to do is I get to. So it's like, I get to take a shower. I get to have running water. Like I get to have this experience. But sometimes even that, it just becomes like, I lose my sense of gratitude for it. And again, you're just go. Okay, it becomes something that you have to do. So recently I started just turning off my overhead lights. I had some like string lights that I added to my bathroom because I was so over the overhead lights. Put on some soft music, put some oils in my shower, and this took under 5 minutes. And it made such a big difference. And I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? Of like taking time and just finding the things that make me feel good and integrating it into this moment. So the thing that really I want you to think about is thinking about how can we find micro moments of pleasure, You know, just those little moments. Even like right now, what is something that you can do? Is it like touching your skin in a certain way? Is it maybe shifting from side to side? Maybe your body's craving some movements. You know, I invite you to think about that in this moment. And in thinking about sex, right, going into this concept of doing things in the same way, our bodies can also become reliant on a particular touch or sensation, and our nerve endings can begin to build tolerance for repetitive touch. So if we disperse our sensation and vary our touch, sometimes we may be able to experience more pleasure because more nerve endings are being activated and more arousal tissue is engorged. So there's a range of choices and possibilities. So another practice that I want to talk about today is pleasure mapping. Is anybody familiar with pleasure mapping? You can raise a hand or, yeah. What does it sound like to you when I say pleasure mapping? What do you think it consists of?
I think probably like a body scan comes first to mind.
A body scan comes first to mind. Anyone else? Okay. Well, that's exactly what it is. Pleasure mapping is thinking about your body, right? And mapping out the places where you experience pleasure. So you can start with as simple as like choose one body part to focus on. Maybe it's a body part that you don't even think about or you neglect, right? Like you could start with like, oh, today I'm gonna I'm gonna figure out what's going on in my neck and maybe like explore different sorts of touch in that area. But really, when you're pleasure mapping, you're creating a map of sensations, marking places. You can even draw this. You can draw an outline of your body, and as you're discovering, you can write it down. You can draw pictures. But really, it's just taking time to explore your terrain and find new avenues, explore what feels good, explore what doesn't feel good. And you can also do this focus on one body part with the genitals as well, if you want to include playing with the genitals, figuring out what are different ways that I can experience touch here that maybe I haven't tried before. How can I remain curious? How can I get myself into like a beginner's mind and pretend I've never seen this thing before? I want to also bring in a practice that I learned that was actually quite eye-opening for me in terms of the way that I experience sensation, and that is navigating touch on 3 levels. So if you'd like to join me in this, feel free. So it works best if you can expose an area of skin. So I'm going to choose to expose my arm a bit. And I'm going to start off by just like take your other hand and just like kind of pass it over your arm. And kind of notice if you feel anything. Like, do you feel hairs maybe standing up? Maybe you don't feel anything. Or maybe you do feel something. And now I invite you to actually touch your arm, but very, very lightly, just with your fingertips. And see how that feels. And now apply firmer touch. And maybe you can go even firmer and deeper with squeezing, or if you'd like to try some scratches as well. How is that experience? Yeah, so it's just, that's a simple way to think about what are ways that I can vary touch, either on myself or on my partner, or, you know, just play, just figure things out and see what happens. Also, something that you can do is, if your sight is available to you, removing one sense, like your sense of sight, by using a blindfold, that can help to heighten others. And sometimes folks think about practices like this when it comes to just like partnered sex. But I really think that this can be brought into other pleasure practices. So if you remove you can even like use a blindfold or cover your eyes to be in total darkness and just explore your body in just just touch. If you want to touch your genitals, if you want it to be sexual, it absolutely can be. But just trying that on your own and seeing how that feels, and seeing what comes up for you. And then also, there are other tools that you can add, either, again, for solo exploration or for partner exploration. Here we have some feather ticklers in different sizes to explore different sensations. We also have massage oils. Again, and I also think about, how can I bring this attention to myself too, even if you're not with somebody or a partner, it doesn't have to lead to anything sexual. We also have massage candles, which melt into like a warm oil. So feeling that sensation of the warmth. And if you want to bring in the sense of taste and temperature, we have warming flavored massage oils. And I also want to just talk about, we also have this wheel that is used, that it was actually invented by doctors to test nerve endings. So this can be used very lightly, or it can actually be used to prick the skin and cause pain. So if you desire that pain as part of your pleasure experience, is absolutely something you can explore in different ways. And there are ways also to explore what I like to call pleasure aids in various ways as well. So people see something like this and they usually think, all right, well, it's probably just for solo play, just for the genitals, but these were designed to massage the body. So how can you use this in different places that you haven't used before? And one like this, Adia, this vibrates, but the tip also turns hot and cold. So if you want to explore temperature in different parts of the body, in the neck. So I like this because if you like playing with temperature and you like the feeling of ice cubes or something like that, you get the cold without the running water. And if you like that sensation, great. But if you don't like that feeling, then something like this is nice as well. So I say all that to say that there's so many ways to play. At the end of the day, pleasure is play, sex is play. And how can we bring, again, more curiosity to everyday moments? And ultimately, it's about making it bite-sized. One action, 1 minute. It doesn't need to be luxurious, elongated, and completely indulgent. It's just important to show up for yourself in your pleasure, even in the smallest micro moments. And other ideas are, when you are adorning yourself, I choose to use the word adorn instead of like dressing, because I think of myself as like, all right, what am I choosing to put on my body today? Adorn yourself with fabrics, textures, things that make you feel good. Also, when was the last time you gave yourself a hug? Let's not give yourself a hug. Yes. Even giving yourself a hug can feel good too. And if you're here with somebody you feel comfortable hugging, hug them too. I love this. I got people hugging in here. I'm sending y'all, consensual. If you would like to receive my energetic hug, I send you my energetic hug. Yeah, like putting on a favorite song and just dancing through the song. Even when you're undressing. All right, how many of y'all have undressed in a very slow manner for somebody else? No? Maybe? No? Okay. How many of you have like done it for yourself? Like you're in front of the mirror, you're like, yeah. No, yeah. Everybody's saying no. So that's another thing that I've been implementing into my practice. I'm like, I am a gift that is being unwrapped, okay? I deserve to unwrap myself for myself too. So whether you are, again, solo or experiencing pleasure partnered, that is just one way that you can explore pleasure, by just like slowly unwrapping yourself. And ultimately romancing yourself too. I want to leave you, lastly, with this quote from Patricia, who's a radical somatic therapist, and on Instagram she goes by pat.radical.therapist. The nervous system, even under siege, still knows how to heal. It knows that connection can regulate what fear has unraveled. It knows that community is medicine. It knows that resting, even when rest feels impossible, is an act of rebellion. And it knows that joy, a joy that feels like a sharp inhale in a burning room, it's not distraction, it's a fuel. So I'm going to breathe that one in. Yeah, and I'm just wondering if anybody has anything else to add to this space or anything they would like to share about your own pleasure practices, your experiences, your thoughts, any questions.
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
I really like your delivery of information style.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I received that with so much gratitude. Yeah, the compliment was that they really like my delivery of information style. Thank you. I received that with gratitude. And also, I take girl feedback too. Well, we can all hang out here, but I'm going to close out for the folks online. So before you all go, I just want to share with you some upcoming workshops that we have. So our next free workshop will be hosted by Lola at Dirty Lola on Instagram. And that one is Creative Connection, Thriving in Long Distance Love. That one will be on Monday, February 10th at 6 p.m. Again, that is another free one. Thank you. It's another free workshop. Also, you can come in person or we'll also stream it on Instagram Live. And here Lola's gonna share tips and tricks to bring fun and intimacy into your relationship, even from miles away. And also talk about like some long distance pleasure aids that you can use as well. And on Sunday, February 16th, we also have a ticketed workshop at the Moxie Hotel here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. That one is a tantric intimacy workshop and social, and it's hosted by Bear and Fifi. And the description that they have given us is Neo-Tantra is a practice and belief system that is intended to combine the spiritual with the erotic, resulting in mind-blowing sexual experiences and connections. We often see it taught with an emphasis on the rigid binary between masculinity and femininity. But this class is designed to make Tantra more accessible to those who don't ascribe to rigid societal standards. And Bear and Fifi are amazing educators. So we have those two workshops coming up. And thank you so much for sticking around. So our discount code is Pleasure25, Pleasure 25. And that'll give you 10% off our online store. And you can also shop in person, give us this code. And it starts today, from today. So you can, if you're in the area, come on by or shop online. And it is valid through Sunday at midnight, right? That's the 26th. Right?
Yeah, 11:59.
Okay, 11:59. Yeah, 11:59 on Sunday. Yes, to be exact. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so we have the Woodbury Yoga Centers commenting. Thank you. I love so much how you included pleasure that is and isn't connected to the genitals and how to feel self-love. Thank you so much for that comment. And so thank you all so much for joining us today. It was an honor to be here with you. Thank you for allowing me to share with you and for sharing with me. I hope you have a pleasurable evening. Take care, y'all.
Thank you.